So here we go again. It's Friday night. The times are 8:30, and we're back with the LA Cinema Film Quiz, the return of the sequel. So, good evening, everyone. I'm James. Good to see you all again. Hope you've had a good week, and welcome back again to the second lockdown quiz from LA Cinema. Here in Long Ashton in Bristol. But before we start the quiz, I'll just say a couple of quick things just to begin with. It feels like such a long time that we did the initial film quiz, which was way back in March during the first UK government lockdown. I did say we might bring it back in the winter, and true to our words, we're back every Friday evening, 8:30, here on the YouTube channel with the second edition of the LA Cinema Lockdown Quiz. 5 rounds, 50 questions altogether. Film related, of course, all good fun, and just to test your cinema knowledge with different topics every week. I'll be giving some recommendations of films I've watched on the various streaming channels and on DVD and Blu-ray during the week, asking you some things as well on film-related topics at the end. Before we reveal the answers, we'll get you to tot up your scores and see how you did. So we've got the chat window. I see a few people have already introduced themselves. Please introduce yourself. Let me know where you're from. And let me know if you're new to the quiz or if you tuned in when we did the first lockdown quiz. Couple of people on. Philip Rolls, it's a name I remember. Team Rolls in Telford in the house tonight. Thank you for joining us. A man with expert cinema knowledge, somebody I work with in the cinema game, is Mr. Baseheart, a film connoisseur. Andy Rouse, Team Rolls back. Jay Gibbs, who I saw this afternoon, believe it or not, or was it his twin? Bikey Chick, reminds me the name from the previous quiz. Optimus Prime 7, the newbie from Yorkshire. Thanks for joining us. Jay Gibbs, who I mentioned, from Bristol. So before we start, I'll just say we're community let me start again. We're a community cinema that are based in the southwest in a place called Long Ashton, a village just on the outskirts of Bristol. We used to run a monthly film screening every third Saturday of the month, which we'd not been able to run for obvious reasons for around about 7-8 months. So we decided during the lockdowns to run a film quiz, which we ended in late July. And we're back now for the second one every Friday night. As I said, the only thing I'll say is it's 5 rounds, 10 questions per round. I'll reveal the answers at the end. The only thing I'll say is not to put your answers in the chat window, because obviously everyone will see the answers. And at the end, I'll reveal the answers and see how you all got on. So are you ready for tonight's topics and the way tonight will work? It normally goes on for about 90 minutes. And at the end, I'll be getting you involved with a couple of film-related questions. Okay, so before I reveal the answers at the end, we got a round dedicated to the man who made James Bond. Some people argue the best of the actors to play the role. We're going to be doing a Sean Connery round. So at the end, I'll be asking you, is Sean Connery your favorite James Bond? And maybe to name your favorite James Bond film, or argue which actors you feel have done a better job in the role. And we've kind of mentioned this before, cinema's going through a very difficult time. It has probably done so in the last 4 to 5 years with changes in technology, home streaming, and advancements in television and high definition. I'll be asking you your thoughts on the future of cinema later on in the quiz. Okay, so the rounds for tonight, as I said, 50 questions altogether. Round 1 will be the icon, James Bond, Mr. 007 himself, Sean Connery, the name's Bond, James Bond. That's a terrible impression. So Sean Connery, round number one. Round number two was a suggestion. Somebody asked if we could do children's films. It's going to be children's films from the 1980s decade for round number two. Round number three, we're going to be doing film-related toys. So these are toy lines by various toy manufacturers. I want you to name them, what films they come from. John Cusack, the Hollywood actor, famous in the 80s, mainly the 80s and 90s at its peak, is round number four. And round number five, the penultimate round, will be Family Connections, the final round. So we're going to start in just a minute when you're ready. But before we start, I always started the quizzes with just a few DVDs or Blu-rays I've picked up during the week and my first film recommendation, and just see if you've seen that film and your thoughts and opinions on that particular film. So I've been buying less and less Blu-rays and DVDs of late, particularly with everything on the streaming channels. There's so much options and choice available. You almost feel like, do you need the hard copies of these things? But I like the old-fashioned method of owning the DVD or the CD. And there was a few films I picked up this week that came through the post, mainly eBay purchases. The first one, a John Frankenheimer film made in the late 90s, shot in Paris, a good action espionage thriller that I haven't seen since its cinema release. It's Ronin by Arrow on Blu-ray, featuring the great Robert De Niro, Jean Reno, famous for Leon, and some other good actors, Stellan Skarsgård, Sean Bean, Jonathan Pryce. I haven't seen this for a long time, so I'm going to dig it out next week, have a watch of it, a rewatch. It features a fantastic car chase, which it was very famous for at the time. Came out in 1998. I've been getting into Alan Parker because Alan Parker died recently. I think it was around about 4 to 5 weeks ago. The prolific British director. He made films like Midnight Express, Bugsy Malone, and Angel Heart. A couple of pickups. I bought Birdie, which I've never seen, about an ex-Vietnam vet suffering from the nightmares of the Vietnam War, who connects with the actor Nicolas Cage, who plays his psychiatrist in the film. It's an 80s film called Birdie that came out, I think it was the film prior to Angel Heart. So that one, Alan Parker. Another Alan Parker film, which I kind of have never seen, set during the mid-1960s, is Gene Hackman and Willem Dafoe in the Oscar-nominated film and critically acclaimed Mississippi Burning, all set around the Ku Klux Klan, film I've never seen. And the last pickup, which I watched around about a week ago, is the debut film by British director Mike Figgis, who did Leaving Las Vegas with Nicolas Cage and Elizabeth Shue. This is his debut film, Stormy Monday, which was actually filmed in Newcastle, of all places. It's kind of like a crime thriller with Melanie Griffiths, Tommy Lee Jones, who plays the bad villain, Sting, the actor, musician, and Sean Bean again. I watched this a couple of nights ago. Some fantastic cinematography from Roger Deakins, who works with the Coen brothers and won the Oscar and BAFTA for his work on 1917. Okay, so in a minute, I'll be giving my recommendation first for the week, and we'll start the quiz. I guess you're all ready, geared up. So my first recommendation, another film I've not seen, back from the early 90s. It was critically acclaimed at the time, BAFTA and Oscar nominated. It's the Neil Jordan film, The Crying Game. I've never seen this one. Stephen Rea, the Irish actor. Miranda Richardson, mainly known for her stage and television work. Forrest Whitaker and Jay Davidson. I don't know if any of you have seen this. I imagine a lot of you have. I thought this was a fantastic film. I really enjoyed it. I felt it held up quite well. It's basically set during the Troubles in Northern Ireland. It's about a group of IRA terrorists who capture a British soldier. One of the terrorists becomes fascinated by the British soldier's life, and they kind of have a connection. And he tells him to go to London to meet a woman he met years ago who was the love of his life. The soldier dies, is killed, and the IRA terrorist ends up in London and meets this woman in a London nightclub. She's a cabaret singer. His cohorts manage to find him in London and want him to do another job for them. And he kind of gets tangled in this relationship and his connections with the IRA. And there's a couple of amazing twists that are very famous. So my first recommendation, Neil Jordan's The Crying Game. I'd imagine most of you have seen this. Let me know what you think of Neil Jordan's thriller set during the Troubles between Northern Ireland and Britain in the 80s. I think this one was set. Okay, so you're ready for tonight's quiz? Good luck. We'll start off with round number one. The news of Sean Connery. I think he died a couple of weeks ago. One of the penultimate James Bond. Many say the best. Okay, so we'll go with question number one. Good luck, everyone. Answers revealed at the end. So round one, Sean Connery. Okay, so question one. So there's quite a lot of few answers to this one. How many times did Sean Connery play James Bond? And for bonus points, name all those films. So a tricky one to start off with tonight. Round number one. Their name's Bond. James Bond. Sean Connery. Terrible impression. So how many times did Sean Connery play James Bond? And for bonus points, name all the films. Tricky one to start. Quite a few answers to question one. Number two. Sean Connery died on October 31st of this year. But tell me, which year was he born and in which city? So two answers to question number two. Sean Connery died on October the 31st of this year. But tell me, which year was he born and in which city? A couple of shout outs, to Suzanne Chilcott. Thanks for joining us. Lucy Hawkins, a regular from last time. And Emma Richards, thanks for tuning in. Question number three, round number one. So Sean Connery won the Best Supporting Actor Oscar for his performance in Brian De Palma's The Untouchables. But name all three actors Connery teams up with to stop Al Capone, who's played by Robert De Niro. This was the film Connery won the Oscar. It's The Untouchables, but I want you to name his colleagues in the film, the three actors who team up with Connery to fight Al Capone. So the famous real-life gangster or mobster Al Capone, played by De Niro in the film, but name the actors that Sean Connery teams up with. Who are they? Three other actors. So three answers to this one. Number four. Name this Sean Connery film from 1986. Connery plays a nonconformist friar investigating a series of mysterious deaths in an isolated abbey, co-starring alongside Christian Slater and F. Murray Abraham. Tell me the name of the film. So, a film from 1986. Connery plays a nonconformist friar investigating a series of mysterious deaths in an isolated abbey, co-starring alongside Christian Slater and F. Murray Abraham. But tell me the name of the film. Halfway through the round, we go to number 5, a round on Sir Sean Connery. Okay, number 5. Connery plays Indiana Jones's father in Steven Spielberg's Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. But tell me Connery's character name. This is a film I remember seeing late 80s. It was 1989. I remember seeing this with my folks at one of the old city centre cinemas in Bristol down by the ice rink. It was Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Connery played Harrison Ford's dad in the film, but tell me Connery's character name. Okay, number 6 now. Again, name the film. So name the Connery film from 1989, directed by Sidney Lumet, co-starring Dustin Hoffman and Matthew Broderick. It's about an ex-professor who offers Adam $1 million to get some plasma from a high-tech company lab. Adam asks his criminal grandpa for help. Can they convince Adam's now honest dad to join? So here's a synopsis from a Connery film, Hollywood film, released in 1989. It's directed by Sidney Lumet, and it co-stars Dustin Hoffman and Matthew Broderick. It's about an ex-professor who offers Adam $1 million to get some plasma from a high-tech company lab. Adam asks his criminal grandpa for help. Can they convince Adam's now honest dad to join? What is the film? Couple more to go to end off the round. So Connery plays ex-con John Patrick Mason in which 1996 action movie, co-starring alongside Nicolas Cage and Ed Harris? For an extra point, name the director. So 2 answers to this one. Number 7, Connery plays ex-con John Patrick Mason in which 1996 action movie with Nicolas Cage and Ed Harris? But for a bonus point, tell me the name of the director. Number 8 now, 3 questions left. Connery had altercations and publicly denounced the director he worked with on the 2003 The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. But name the director. So this is a tricky question. It was well documented at the time. And I think during the premiere, Connery did an interview with the press and denounced the director. It's on YouTube. It's quite a funny video. But Connery had altercations and denounced the director he worked with on the film The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. It's in 2003. But name the director. Let's have a quick drink. Number 9. An older film now. We go back to 1965. It's an Alfred Hitchcock movie where Connery marries co-star Tippi Hedren, who turns out to be a thief with serious psychological problems. But what is the name of the movie? So we turn the clock back to 1965. The British director Alfred Hitchcock. Connery marries co-star Tippi Hedren, who turns out to be a thief with serious psychological problems. But what is the film? And lastly, the last one of the round, number 10 of number 1. Tricky question, probably the hardest of the round. Connery's final acting credit was voicing an animated character for a Scottish computer adventure comedy released in 2012. But name the film. So after the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, Connery took a long vacation, supposedly quit acting, but he came back for this animated film, which was panned by critics. It's a Scottish computer adventure comedy released in 2012. But tell me the title. That's all round one. So Sean Connery. Anyone need any of those questions repeating? If so, just let me know which question and I'll read them back. And whilst you're all on, I'll ask you, how do you think you got on with that round? A couple of little tricky questions in there, all on the acting icon, the Hollywood legend Sir Sean Connery, who died on October the 31st. I think he was in the Bahamas at the time. The family announced his death, age 90, I believe. How did everyone fare on Sean Connery? Yep, so Emma Richards, number 4. Let's go back to number 4. Number 4, question 4. Name this Sean Connery film from 1986. Here's the synopsis. Connery plays a non-conformist friar investigating a series of mysterious deaths in an isolated abbey, co-starring alongside Christian Slater and F. Murray Abraham. But tell me the name of the film. James Vaughan, quite confident on round 1. Yeah, the last one is a tricky question, number 10. I'll announce the answer at the end. Yeah, I think that's the hardest question. The animated film. Anyone need any more repeating, or are you happy to move on to the second round? Let me know. Mr. Baseheart said he was reading about the last one recently. I watched the trailer for it on YouTube, and I got to be honest, it looks pretty bad, the film. Okay, so we'll move on to round number 2. Anyone confident they got a full house for this one? They got all of them, including question 1. Name how many Bond films Connery's been in and all the titles. Okay, let's move on to round number 2. So round number 2 tonight, another 10 questions. This was a recommendation from the Richards, Emma and Ian. They wanted a round on children's movies from the 1980s. They're big into the 80s, the music, what went on during the decade, and the films. Okay, so we go moving on. Children's films from the 1980s. Here we go. My era. Okay, number 1. Name the 1986 Walt Disney movie set in 1978 about a boy who travels 8 years into the future and has an adventure with an intelligent, wisecracking alien ship. This one brings back some memories, some fond memories. I've not seen it for years. But name the 1986 Walt Disney movie set in 1978. It's about a boy who travels 8 years into the future and has an adventure with an intelligent, wisecracking alien ship. Okay, so we move from a title of a film, a Walt Disney feature, to naming a person from the 80s. So number 2, name the animated director responsible for producing the 1986 animated feature, An American Tail. Its other film credits include All Dogs Go to Heaven, The Land Before Time, and Titan AE. So this is a talented individual, mainly well known in his peak period in the 80s for animation. But name him. He produced and directed the 1986 animated feature An American Tail. There was a sequel as well. And other film credits include All Dogs Go to Heaven, The Land Before Time, and Titan AE. But who is the animator? What's his name? Number 3. a music question, nice and simple, this one. Name the artist and performer who had a hit record with the Ghostbusters theme tune back in 1984. So this is a song during the lockdown that my two young boys, they're 5 and 3, they constantly want this theme tune played. If I play the remix or the instrumental version, they kick off, it's got to be the original. But who performed the hit single, the Ghostbusters theme tune? Name the artist and the performer. Somewhere, I think I've got the vinyl shaped with the Ghostbusters logo. Probably an antique now, worth a fortune on eBay. Number 4, name this popular family comedy from 1989. Rick Moranis plays a scientist who accidentally shrinks his 2 children and 2 neighborhood teens to the size of insects. Somebody just joined us. It's Jack. Good evening. Hope you're well. Ironically, just round the corner. So number 4, name this popular family comedy from 1989. Rick Moranis plays a scientist who accidentally shrinks his 2 children and 2 neighborhood teens to the size of insects. Yeah, this is round 2. So round 2, children's films from the 80s. What sort of time? Okay, number 5, 2 answers to this one. Name Daniel Larusso's teacher and mentor in the 1984 hit movie The Karate Kid. But for a bonus point, name the actor who played the role and he was nominated for Best Supporting Actor at the Oscars. So tricky one, the second part. So number 5, name Daniel Larusso's teacher and mentor in the 1984 hit film The Karate Kid. Second answer for a bonus point, name the actor who played the role and was nominated for the Best Supporting Actor Oscar that year. Sadly lost out. Good actor though. Yeah, the new series on Netflix, Emma's saying, Cobra Kai. I did start it. Everybody's really keen on it, but I struggled. I really did. But yeah, it's been really popular. A lot of people saying what a good series it is years later after the franchise. Okay, so number 6, name the American actress who plays the heroine Sarah in Jim Henson's Labyrinth from 1986. Female actress, started in the business very young as a child actress, but name the American actress who plays Sarah in Jim Henson's Labyrinth in 1986. Yeah, wax on, wax off. I remember they brought out the figures as well. There was Karate Kid 2, which I think was set in Japan. The third one, which I remember seeing at the cinema, where he's kind of taken on by the bad guys who try and play a fast trick on Larusso. And there was one with a girl, wasn't there? The next Karate Kid, which was Hilary Swank. I think that was about 94. Okay, another music question now. Name the artist performer who performed the title track and pop hit for the 1984 film The Never-Ending Story. So another popular film from the 80s, a family movie. So number 7, name the artist and performer who performed the title track and pop hit from 1984. The film was The Never-Ending Story, and so was the track. Couple more left in this round. This one's a slightly trickier question. We're talking about a writer now, synonymous with a film from the 80s. Great film as well, one of my favorites. So number 8, name the well-known American screenwriter who wrote the novel and screenplay for Rob Reiner's The Princess Bride. A very famous writer, American screenwriter, has written many film screenplays and written about the art of writing film scripts. But tell me his name. Well-known US screenwriter who wrote the novel and the screenplay for the 1987 film The Princess Bride. Who is that person? Number 9, 2 answers to this one. Round number 2. The Star Wars sequels, The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, were both released in the 1980s, but tell me the years they were both released. So 2 answers. The 1980s, The Empire Strikes Back, and The Return of the Jedi. Tell me the UK release dates. What year were they released? So 2 points, 2 answers to that one. And lastly, number 10. Name this box office smash from 1988 from this synopsis. A teenage boy wakes up one morning to find himself mysteriously in the body of an adult. Name the film, nice and simple one to end up on. Name this box office smash Hollywood film from 1988. A teenage boy wakes up one morning to find himself mysteriously in the body of an adult. If I told you the lead actor, you get it straight away. I'd imagine most of you would get this one. That is all 10 questions for number 2, round 2. How confident, or maybe you're not so confident, on your family children's movies from the 80s decade? How do you feel you got on? Your 10 questions. Anyone confident they got a full house on your Karate Kid movies, your nostalgia? How do you think you fared? Or does anyone need any of the questions repeating? Any of the 10? Just shout them out. Let me know. Gail Rogers, confident with a 9. Thanks for joining us again for the quiz. It seems a long time. The last one was in late July, believe it or not. A long time's passed since then. We did say we'd try and come back in the winter, and hopefully we'll be back for the next couple of weeks. Mr. Harlequin, Amanda and Richard in London, confidence they got a 9. That would be a good score. Yeah, we should have maybe done a horror round. Friday the 13th today would have kind of made sense, that connection. James Vaughan, confident. So we look like we got some confident people on your films from the 80s, children's films. Okay, so another recommendation. Another film I watched this week. I did 3 films back to back. And then we'll move on to round 3. I like an independent American filmmaker called John Sayles. Interesting guy. He wrote many kind of scripts to kind of make his money, and he'd play that back into the films he wanted to make. He obviously wanted to make films that were very dear to his heart, interesting stories about people and connections. So he wrote screenplays. I think he did the screenplay for Piranha. I know Mr. Baseheart is a big fan. And he's made some brilliant independent films, Lone Star in the 90s. And this is one that's hailed as one of his best. Some say one of the best films of the 80s, based on a real life story set during the 1920s in a community mining town. As I said, in the 1920s, it's called Matewan. Good cast. The usual kind of people that feature in some of Sayles' films, like Chris Cooper and Mary McDonnell. You might remember as the lady, the female interest in Dances with Wolves. James Earl Jones. It's a film mainly about the unions, a man working as a miner with fellow miners who believe they're being underappreciated, worked hard for not the pay or the respect that they deserve. So basically, at the beginning of the film, a load of black workers are recruited to join the ranks, and this union guy tries to get everybody together to join ranks to kind of fight against the company who they believe are underappreciating and underpaying the workers. It's based on a real life story, and I thought this was a brilliant film. John Cusack, who we got around on later, highly recommends the film. He was in John Sayles' film 8 Men Out, a baseball film. It's called Matewan. I don't know if it's on any of the streaming channels. It's a gripping true life stories with some brilliant performances, and the director, who in my view is always top of his game. If you like your independent cinema, pick it up on eBay. Really good film, very character and performance driven, and some beautiful set pieces. Really creates the history and the locations of the 1920s. Top film, brilliant film. That and The Crying Game, two very good back-to-back films. Really enjoyed them both. Okay, I thought I might have mispronounced this one. It's pronounced Matawan, yeah? Matawan? Maybe I'll get it right one day. Okay, so we'll move on to round number 3. Okay, so I wanted to do a round a little bit different, a little bit fun on film-related toys, toy merchandise from movies. I chose this for a particular reason. During the last couple of months, I've been doing a little bit of collecting, buying up toys, some old toys from yesteryear. And I brought a couple along this evening just to show off before the round and see if you remember any of these. These are some of the real Ghostbusters figures that I've got boxed from the 1980s to promote the TV animated show and the film, of course. So these are nice boxed ones. You might have had some of these back in the day. Ray Stantz there from the real Ghostbusters. These kind of are worth around about 70, 80 pounds boxed. So they're kind of sought after, almost like antiques now. They're really nice figures, but you can pick them up at a good price, around sort of 30 to 50 pounds. I've been buying these, and I remember having these back in the day. They're really nice items. So I just wanted to do a round on film merchandise, but toys promoting films. So there might be some real Ghostbusters questions in there. So a bit of nostalgia for you. You might have been had and owned some of these toys from back in the day. So here we go, round 3, film toys, film-related toys. Here we go. So name the multinational American toy company that produced toy figures to launch the He-Man Masters of the Universe cartoon and eventually the 1980s live-action movie. Don't give away my secrets, as if I was some sort of Lovejoy toy seller, if only. So yeah, this is round number 1. I want you to tell me the toy company, they're American based, that produced the toy figures to launch He-Man Masters of the Universe, the cartoon, and eventually we had the feature film in 1987. Name the company. Number 2 now. Which toy franchise features the characters Murphy, Lewis, and the Old Man? It was a popular film franchise, a television serial, and a kids' animated series. More David Dickinson, yeah, indeed. A Bristol connection there. I think that was filmed in Bristol, David Dickinson, the old antiques guy. Yeah, you don't see much of him now. So number 2, which toy franchise features the characters Murphy, Lewis and the Old Man. It was a popular film franchise, television serial, and a kids animated series. Number 3 now. So film-related toys. Okay, a 1989 animated series and a Tim Burton movie about the adventures of a ghostly con artist was made into a toy franchise. Name the movie character. Cheap as chips. Okay, so 1989, an animated cartoon, also a Tim Burton movie about the adventures of a ghostly con artist. It was made into a toy franchise, but tell me the name of the character. Number 4 now. This one to bring back some memories. Again, these go for an arm and a leg on eBay. They're a really sought after toy, but name the series of sticker trading cards by Topps that was adapted into a 1987 film with Anthony Newley. British musician, performer Anthony Newley. But it's a series of sticker trading cards produced by Topps, and it was adapted into a 1987 film. Tell me, what were they called? You kind of want to raid your attics and lofts for some of this stuff. If you had it as kids, if they're boxed in pristine condition, it's amazing what some of these toys go for now. I kind of regret the day my dad gave away my Ghostbusters and He-Man toys. I could curse him. Number 5, the characters Lion-O, Snarf, Jatara, and Panthro feature in which popular series and toy range from the 1980s? Another great cartoon, love the toys, but the characters Lion-O, Snarf, Jatara, and Panthro, they feature in which popular series and toy range from the 1980s? I think they're still making them as well. I think they've done some new adventures, animated, and figures, toy figures. But what's it called? Okay, so a toy range was produced in 1993 to promote an Arnold Schwarzenegger film about a young movie buff who was transported into a fictional world of his favorite movie character. Name the film and the toy franchise. That's number 6. So a toy range in 1993 was produced to promote an Arnold Schwarzenegger film about a young movie buff who was transported into a fictional world of his favorite movie character. But tell me the name of the film and the toy franchise. Couple more left in the round. Number 7, name the former American toy company that produced toys for the films Alien, Police Academy, Star Wars, The Real Ghostbusters, and Jurassic Park. So I held up some toys earlier on in the beginning of the round. These ones. Oh, I nearly gave it away. The answer there. They were produced by a former American toy company. They produced toy franchises for the movies Police Academy, Alien, Star Wars, The Real Ghostbusters, and Jurassic Park. But tell me the name of the company. Tricky question there. Number 8. A couple more left. So name the popular talking teddy bear whose mouth and eyes move while he reenacts stories played on an audio cassette tape. The bear was made into an animated TV series and a live-action television film. Someone saying not keen on the toy round. So number 8, name the popular talking teddy bear whose mouth and eyes move while he reenacts stories played on an audio cassette tape. The bear was made into an animated TV series, a live-action film, but tell me the name of the teddy. Massive toy back in the day. 2 more to go. Number 9 now. Name the popular toy bears that had their own toy range, TV series, and 2 feature films made in 1985 and 1986. So number 9, name the popular toy bears that had their own toy range, television series, and 2 feature films released in 1985 and 1986. Last question left, number 10. The toy round. So name the female heroine who had her own toy range mass-produced by Mattel and an animated series produced by Filmation from 1985 and appeared alongside He-Man in The Secret of the Sword. So this is a kind of a girl's toy range from the 80s, but name the female heroine who had her own toy range. She had an animated series from 1985 and appeared alongside He-Man in The Secret of the Sword movie. So obviously got one person who didn't like the toy round. How did you fare with your toys? What did you think? Anyone confident on the toy round? How did you get on with these? A lot of them mainly from the 80s. One of the golden eras for toys. Mr. Baysart saying so. Fillet rolls, pump. Anyone really confident that they might have got a full house for this one? Optimus Prime, Transformers, confident with a 9. Shan Natman thinks they did pretty well on that one. And yeah, I can repeat number 4. Number 4. What was number 4? Yeah, so number 4 was name the series of sticker trading cards by Topps that was adapted into a 1987 film with Anthony Newley. Jay Gibbs saying enjoyable round. Quite confident. James Vaughan, not so confident on this one. Okay, everyone ready for round number 4? Okay, so I had somebody request a round on the Hollywood actor John Cusack. He was kind of at his peak in the 80s and 90s. I can't recall who asked me for this one, but we're going to do in just a minute a round on John Cusack, 10 questions. But first, let me repeat number 10. So number 10 in the last round, the toy round. Name the female heroine who had her own toy range. An animated series that ran from 1985 and appeared alongside He-Man in The Secret of the Sword movie. Okay. We'll move on to Hollywood actor John Cusack now. 10 questions on him and his films. Go around. Question number 1. So we moved back to the year 2000, the hit movie High Fidelity, about a record store owner who recounts his top 5 breakups. It's adapted from a novel by which British author? So this is High Fidelity, based on a famous book about a music aficionado who owns a record shop, I think in Chicago. But tell me the name of the British author. So that's number 1. I imagine everyone's having a Friday night drink this evening. I've had a couple of gins, which I probably shouldn't be doing. What are you all drinking this evening? I've got my gin and my glass of water. Gin and tonic. Number 2, name the British actress who plays John Cusack's love interest in the black comedy Grosse Pointe Blank. Cusack plays Martin Blank, a professional assassin who attends his high school reunion. Lucy's having a beer. Emma Richards mixing the grape and grain, beer and wine. So number 2, name the British actress who plays John Cusack's love interest in the black comedy Grosse Pointe Blank. Cusack plays Martin Blank, a professional assassin who goes back to his high school reunion. Biker chick on the old gin and tonic. Mr. Basart not drinking the alcohol, only Class A drugs. What kind? Number 3, name this 2003 crime drama based on a John Grisham novel. It's about a juror on the inside and a woman on the outside who manipulates a court trial involving a major gun manufacturer. Cusack stars alongside Gene Hackman, Dustin Hoffman, and Rachel Weisz. Number 3, the Hollywood actor John Cusack round. But name the 2003 crime drama based on a John Grisham book. It's about a juror on the inside and a woman on the outside who manipulate a court trial involving a major gun manufacturer. Cusack stars alongside Gene Hackman, Dustin Hoffman, and Rachel Weisz. Tell me the name of the film. Number 4 now. This is an answer I've already given away, so if you were listening to one of my film recommendations, you may know the answer already. I want you to name the acclaimed American independent filmmaker who cast Cusack in his baseball sports drama about the Black Sox scandal, and the film's called 8 Men Out. This was a 1988 film with Cusack. It's a baseball sports drama about the Black Sox scandal in 1919. It's called 8 Men Out. Tell me the name of the American director. It's mentioned earlier on, one of my film recommendations. Really great, talented filmmaker and screenwriter as well. Here's a film I saw back at the cinema back in the day. It's a 2003 film. John Cusack co-starring with Ray Liotta and directed by James Mangold. Here's the synopsis. Stranded in a desolate Nevada motel during a rainstorm, 10 strangers become acquainted with each other when they realize they are being killed off by one another. But tell me the title of the film. So number 5 again, name the 2003 John Cusack movie with Ray Liotta and directed by James Mangold. Stranded at a desolate Nevada motel during a rainstorm, 10 strangers become acquainted with each other when they realize they're being killed off one by one. But tell me, what is the movie? Come back to 2003. Number 6 now. Who directed Cusack in the comedy drama Bullets Over Broadway, about a struggling playwright who was forced to cast a mobster's talentless girlfriend in his latest drama in order to get it produced? An acclaimed film going back to the 90s. But who directed the comedy drama Bullets Over Broadway, with John Cusack as a struggling playwright who has to cast a mobster's talentless girlfriend to put on a play? Suzanne Chilcott's on the wine. White wine, red or rosé? What are you drinking? Number 7. 2 answers to this one and a good film. Name the 2 American actresses Cusack stars alongside in the 1990 crime drama The Grifters, about a con man torn between his estranged mother and his new girlfriend. Suzanne's on the red wine. I think that's a Neil Diamond song, isn't it? Performed by UB40. Certainly not going to have a go at singing it. No way. Not with my bad voice. So number 7, name the 2 American actresses Cusack stars alongside in the 1990 film The Grifters, about a con man torn between his estranged mother and his new girlfriend. Number 8, a film a lot of people seem to like, but the character's agent Vince Larkin, played by Cusack, Cameron Poe, and Cyrus the Virus Grissom appear in which 1997 action film? No way am I singing you a song. I certainly got no voice, no Frank Sinatra. Shirley Comish on the Baileys. Okay, so the characters Agent Vince Larkin, played by Cusack, Cameron Poe, and Cyrus the Virus Grissom appear in which 1997 action movie? Yeah, a lot of people seem to love this film. I remember seeing this one at the cinema. It's a little bit tongue-in-cheek. You can't take it seriously. It's all fun and games, good entertainment. Number 9, name the offbeat writer and director who wrote the screenplay for Being John Malkovich and recently directed the Netflix-funded film I'm Thinking of Ending Things. So screenwriter and filmmaker. Name the offbeat writer and director who wrote the screenplay for Spike Jonze's Being John Malkovich and recently directed the Netflix film I'm Thinking of Ending Things. It's a film I've not had a chance to watch as yet. I've heard a few little things. I need to sit down and maybe watch that one next week. Number 10, last one. What is John Cusack looking for in the 1985 Rob Reiner movie about a university freshman going through a dry spell? So number 10, John Cusack, what's he looking for in the 1985 Rob Reiner movie about a university freshman going through a dry spell? It's the last one, the John Cusack round. Any fans of John Cusack? I quite like John Cusack. I think he always comes across as quite a sound, likable guy. I like his persona in the films. Anyone not so keen on that round and struggled? Andy Rowell saying, pretty difficult this one. Good actor, miserable sod. Yeah, it's hard to be happy when you've got $1 million in your bank account, I guess. I think he's quite a political figure as well. I think he's a pro-Democrat, from what I understand. Never been nominated for an Academy Award, which I find a little bit hard to believe. Maybe not being in the right films, I don't know. Biker Chick likes him. Amanda confident she got them all. Good. We'll move on to the penultimate round, unless anyone would like any of those repeated. The last round is family connections in the movies. And before that, I'll add to the mix another recommendation. So 3 old films I watched this week. The Crying Game was the first. Matt Wan, which I pronounce incorrectly all the time. So we'll move on swiftly there. And my final one I'll do just before question 10. So yeah, 10 for the John Cusack round was, what is John Cusack looking for in the 1985 Rob Reiner movie about a university freshman going through a dry spell? Matty Wan. Okay, number 8. The characters Agent Vince Larkin, Cameron Poe, and Cyrus the Virus featuring which 1997 action film? Okay, so my last recommendation, I dug out a Coen Brothers box set that I bought at the beginning of the lockdown, and I had a chance to watch some of the ones I've never seen. And I thought I'd go and watch the kind of gangster film set during the Prohibition era. I decided to watch Miller's Crossing from this box set from 1990 with the actor Gabriel Byrne, the Irish actor who I really like, and Albert Finney. And it's basically about a guy called Tom who kind of mixes with two rival mobster groups, tries to intervene and play the different sides off. Really enjoyed it. The Coen brothers, for me, never make a bad film. I thought it was a really good film. Brilliant set design to bring back the era during those Prohibition times. I thought Gabriel Byrne did a really good job, as he always does in his role. Good to see Albert Finney. He's always a class British actor. And it felt, in some ways, a little bit different as well for a Coen brothers film. Not a typical mobster gangster film. It had its uniqueness and individuality. And a good script. Maybe one of their films that's a little bit underlooked. So anybody seen Miller's Crossing with Gabriel Byrne? He's just written a book about his career and about his life. He's written about kind of the ghosts of his past, things that went on in his childhood. And I did see on Facebook, they're doing an interview, a Q&A with him. It's being advertised quite a bit. You pay, I think it's £12 to watch this live stream. It looks quite good. An interview with Gabriel Byrne. If you see any of the Facebook ads, check it out. I think I might have a listen to that one. Okay, we'll go on to the penultimate round. Round 5, 10 questions on family connections. Number 1, name Francis Ford Coppola's daughter, who appears as Mary Corleone in Godfather Part 3 and has directed the films Lost in Translation, Marie Antoinette, The Bling Ring, and The Beguiled. So, I want you to name Francis Ford Coppola's daughter. She appeared in Godfather Part 3, and she's directed the films Lost in Translation, Marie Antoinette, The Bling Ring, and The Beguiled. That's number 1. Final round, 10 questions, family connections. Number 2. So there's 4 answers to this one. Name the 4 brothers who built Warner Brothers, one of the first major Hollywood studios that was incorporated in 1923. So 4 brothers, famous studios, one of them very famous, one of the men. But tell me the names of the 4 brothers. So 4 answers to this one. A hard question. Name the 4 brothers who built Warner Brothers, one of the first major Hollywood studios that was incorporated in 1923. Tough question. Round number 2. Sorry, question number 2. Number 3. Again, a few answers to this one. 5 answers to this one. 5 points on offer. Name the 5 famous American family comedians who were successful in vaudeville, Broadway, and appeared in motion pictures from 1905 to 1949 under the name of the Marx Brothers. So for that question, simply tell me the names of all the Marx Brothers. And yeah, Gail, I can repeat number 1. So question number 1 was name Francis Ford Coppola's daughter, who appears as Mary Corleone in Godfather Part 3 and has directed the films Lost in Translation, Marie Antoinette, The Bling Ring, and The Beguiled. Number 4 next. Name Hollywood icon Henry Fonda's famous daughter and actress who won 2 Academy Awards and appeared in Clue, On Golden Pond, and Coming Home. Famous for her exercise films, videos from the 1980s. Still alive today. Still looking good today. But name Hollywood icon Henry Fonda's famous daughter. The actress who's won 2 Academy Awards and appeared in the films Clue, On Golden Pond, and Coming Home. Number 5, tricky one, this one. 2 answers. I want you to name Liza Minnelli's famous mother. She was an actress. And her father, who was a filmmaker. So 2 answers. Liza Minnelli, the actress and successful singer. She had a famous mother and a famous father. Her mother was an actress, Hollywood icon, and her father was a film director. Tell me their names. 2 points on offer. Number 6, we go back to the early days of silent film. Not an era I know a lot about, but swashbuckling silent movie actor Douglas Fairbanks married which actress in 1920 and co-founded United Artists with her in 1919. It's a famous actress, iconic name. But silent movie star Douglas Fairbanks married which actress in 1920? He also co-founded United Artists with her back in 1919. Okay, number 7, a little bit more of an easier one. A Hollywood icon, an actress. So number 7, Italian neorealist director Robert Rossellini was married to which famous Hollywood actress who starred in Casablanca in 1942 and Notorious in 1946? A well-known Hollywood actress from the golden era of Hollywood. She was married to the filmmaker Roberto Rossellini, the Italian, and her films included Casablanca and Notorious. But what was her name? Couple more left. Bit of information up on the Marx brothers there from Mr. Harlequin. Okay, so 4 answers to this question. Number 8, I want you to tell me the name of the 4 American Baldwin brothers, well known for their acting contributions. So tell me the name of all the Baldwin brothers. All film actors. I'd imagine we've all seen some of their films, particularly one of them. So here we are. Number 8, name the 4 American Baldwin brothers, well known for their acting works. 2 more to go. So question 49 and 50 to end the first quiz of the second lockdown. Here's number 9. Hollywood icon Paul Newman was married to which Oscar-winning actress from 1958? They had a long marriage. I think she died before him. Very good actress. But Hollywood icon Paul Newman was married to which Oscar-winning actress? They married back in 1958. One of my favorite actors, Mr. Cool Hand Luke. Great actor, great charisma. One of the great icons. Number 10, a bit more up to date. Name Charlie Sheen's elder brother. He was a member of the Brat Pack group in the 80s and appeared in The Breakfast Club, St. Elmo's Fire, Repo Man, and Stakeout. That is number 50. Repeated again. Family connections, family ties from films. The last one of the night, number 50. Name Charlie Sheen's elder brother. He was a member of the Brat Pack group in the 80s and has appeared in the films The Breakfast Club, St. Elmo's Fire, Repo Man, and Stakeout. So the penultimate round, how did everyone get on? Did they enjoy this round or not so keen? Family connections, families, famous families, people related to one another in cinema. How did you all get on with your family connections? We'll see if there's any response on the chat window. I'll just have a quick swig of the old gin. Mr. Baseheart, a confident 9 would be a good score. Yeah, some tricky ones in there. Kind of a tricky quiz, I think, overall tonight. The toy one was quite difficult. If you're not into your early silent films, that particular actress from that era might be a tough one for you. The Warner Brothers, James, not so keen on. Tricky question. So a tough round. In a minute, we'll reveal the answers for all the questions. We'll get you to tally up your scores and see how you got on for the first comeback quiz for the second lockdown. See how you fared. But I was going to kind of get you involved before we reveal the answers, ask you a couple of things, try and get a little bit of dialogue and conversation going with your thoughts on a few things. My first question was, we lost Sean Connery a couple of weeks ago. I think the date I mentioned was October the 31st. I believe he died in the Bahamas. His family announced. I think he was age 90. There's all sorts of discussions about who is the best Bond. In various polls, they always rate Sean as top. For you, is he the best James Bond? He certainly was the man who kickstarted the franchise. Certainly gave it the kind of the class and what it's known for. And certainly massive box office films, so popular. Would you say that he is the penultimate, the top Bond? And also, I was going to ask your thoughts on him as an actor. I personally never rated him as an actor. I thought he was a little bit overrated. That's just my opinion. I didn't particularly think he deserved the Academy Award for The Untouchables. For me, my favourite Bond will always be Roger Moore. For me, Roger had the looks. He could pull off, pull in the good-looking women. He had the charm, and I kind of like the fact he kind of played it for laughs. So for me, it'd be Roger Moore, but I think there've been some great actors who played him. Let's see what your response is. Third favourite for Jack M. I'd be interested to know who your favourite is. Mr. Harlequin, best Bond, best movies, best toupee. I think Daniel Craig does a pretty good job of playing a very straight Bond. Plays a more kind of serious, darker Bond, I guess. I think he's done a really good job. I think Timothy Dalton did quite a good job. Never felt he got a fair crack of the whip with just the two films in the 80s when Bond wasn't at his kind of height, box office wise. They've all kind of had a good stab at it, really. Pierce Brosnan bringing that kind of suave, gentleman kind of charm, apart from George Lazenby. Philip saying he deserved the award for Untouchables as that kind of Irish tough man. Biker Chick saying favourite Bond, especially in the baby blue towel. Suzanne saying it has to be Sean. Ian backing me up and saying the suave Roger Moore. I love Roger Moore as Bond. Connery was the closest to the original character. I hear that the Ian Fleming wasn't particularly keen on the casting. I'm not sure if that's true. Good Bond, but not the best. Gave it a great start, though. Yeah, I agree. He did some good roles. He did outside of Bond. He did a really good film called The Hill, worth seeing. A Sidney Lumet film that was good. Couple I'll give the answers to later. I'm just trying to think of some other good Connery ones. It was big mates with Michael Caine. I think they were big chums. They did The Man Who Would Be King, didn't they, that film? Jay Gibbs going Daniel Craig, Pierce Brosnan, who I mentioned, and then Sean. Mr. Harlequin said Fleming added a Scottish background to the character to tie in with Connery. Connery, of course, was a political man, a big supporter of Scottish independence. He's a supporter of the SNP political party. Was knighted. He always sounded Scottish. Yeah, very true. He did have a nice accent. Time Bandits, yeah, Terry Gilliam. We've had some good responses on James Bond. My other question was, we're living in a difficult period for cinemas with major change. Cinemas at the moment don't really have the content. When they did come back into business, they didn't have the content to play the films because the studios had decided to postpone and put them back, a lot of them. So cinemas only had a couple of months to kind of get back into business, try and get things going again during a difficult time with a pandemic. Technology's changed the business, no doubt about it, with the big streaming platforms like Netflix, Amazon Prime, and Disney Plus. But what are your thoughts on the future for cinema? Will it change radically? Will cinemas still exist? Will there be less of the big corporate ones? What are your views on the future of cinema and how audiences will experience cinema in this kind of new, very digital age? It's changed, I think, in the last 5 years dramatically. Couple more. Sean Connery, Hunt for Red October, which I failed to mention. Mr. Harlequin, not so keen on Roger Moore, but Amanda likes him. Emma thinks cinemas will still exist. I think studios seem to be releasing more and more films on streaming platforms. That seems particularly evident. A lot of films just going straight to Netflix or made directly for Netflix. I think more and more people are watching film at home. There's no choice in that matter at the moment. Yeah, I've been a few times to the cinema. Mr. Harlequin saying it was quiet. The last time I went to see the new horror film, pretty good. I can't think of the name of it. It escapes me. And it was quiet when I went to see it. So people seem to think that cinemas will pick up when it's the right time, when people are more confident and feel more safe to be in those places. And if these films do release in next year, some big releases with Bond, the new Ghostbusters film, loads of big films out next year, if they're not postponed, that could bring the audiences back. People thinking that TV is more kind of the way to go with streaming. A couple of answers there. Yeah, you've reminded me. St. Maud. I saw that just before the second lockdown, I think on the Tuesday before we locked down. Private viewing rooms, I like the idea of that. I think in Japan, don't they have spaces where you can use a space for like gaming, for karaoke, a more kind of interactive experience with media. Maybe they'll go more down that route. Who knows? But I think certainly streaming's here to stay. Yeah, I agree. I think that the big screen experience can't be beaten. I've seen some of the older films on the big screen when cinemas came back, like Blade Runner and 2001. Those films, like those, Lawrence of Arabia, they look lost on a TV screen. No doubt about that. Okay, so a couple of thoughts there on 007, a couple of thoughts on cinema, the future, and certainly the cinema experience. Some people argue isn't cinema if it's not seen on a big screen with that diverse surround sound. Certain filmmakers hate the idea of their films being screened on these things, on telephones, mobiles, on iPads. Yeah, good point. Big screen for blockbusters. Indie films with maybe a more niche audience go straight to streaming or DVD and release. Okay, so you ready for the answers? Let's see how you got on. I think it was quite a tough quiz tonight. Okay, so round one was the Sean Connery round. And number one, I asked you to name all the Bond films he appeared in. How many were there? There were 7 altogether. And here they all are. So 7 films. They were Dr. No, From Russia with Love, Goldfinger, Thunderball, You Only Live Twice, Diamonds Are Forever, and Never Say Never Again. So it was 7 films. Dr. No, 1962. From Russia with Love, 1963. Goldfinger, 1964. So they were all made back to back. Thunderball, 1965. You Only Live Twice, 1967. Diamonds Are Forever, 1971. And later in 1983, Never Say Never Again. Didn't need to name the years. Question 2. It was 2 answers. So Sean Connery was born in 1930. And he was born in the city of Edinburgh. So yeah, question 1 was 8 points available. How many? And name all the films. Question 2, 2 points. 1930 was the year he was born. Edinburgh was the city. Number 3, it was Kevin Costner, Andy Garcia, and the difficult one, Charles Martin Smith, who teamed up with Connery to defeat mobster Al Capone, played by De Niro in The Untouchables. So it's Kevin Costner, Andy Garcia, and Charles Martin Smith. The film I mentioned from 1986 was The Name of the Rose. So The Name of the Rose, answer number 4. Indiana Jones's father in The Last Crusade is Professor Henry Jones. Professor Henry Jones. Number 6, I named a film from 1989. I gave you a synopsis. It co-starred Dustin Hoffman and Matthew Broderick. It was Family Business. Family Business. I think that one got slated at the time. Never seen it. Number 7, the film was The Rock. And the director was Michael Bay. So The Rock and Michael Bay, 2 points, 1 for each. Number 8, the filmmaker that he fell out with on The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen was a director called Stephen Norrington, who I believe is a British director. So Stephen Norrington, a tricky one there. Number 9, the Alfred Hitchcock film from 1965 was Marnie. Marnie. And the last one, having a bad hair day, need a haircut. Number 10, it was Sir Billy. Anyone get that? It was an animated film, a Scottish animation. He came out of retirement to make it in 2012. Sir Billy. Tricky one there. How did you get on that round? It's it's a great video. If you get a chance, watch it. It's Sean at the premiere of League of Extraordinary Gentlemen with somebody from the Mirror newspaper, and he's really in a bad mood. He goes for the journalist. He's pretty arrogant and really having a pop at the director. It's quite funny, to be honest. Yeah, it's worth watching. It's only about 2 minutes. So some good scores. Jack M 15, 16 Simon, Philip 14, not bad. Mr. Harlequin 18, good. James Vaughan 17 is good. Sir Billy, yeah, that was the trickiest one. Check out the trailer. It looks appallingly bad. Not a good way to bow out. Or League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, which I haven't seen, in fairness. But Sir Sean wasn't happy with that one. Round 2 was the children's films from the 80s. This was a recommendation from the Richards. They love the decade. They love the films. Flight of the Navigator was the Disney film from 1986. So Flight of the Navigator. Answer number 2, the animated director who made the films American Tail, All Dogs Go to Heaven, The Land Before Time, and Titan AE, is Don Bluth. So Don Bluth, talented guy. Presume he's still making things. Ray Parker Jr. did the Ghostbusters theme. It was a pop hit in The Other Side of the Atlantic, and here back during the film's release in 1984. Number 4, I remember queuing around the block to see this film in 1989. Got to the doors and they said, it's full up, you won't be seeing this one. It was Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. Had to go back to see it again, and they did a sequel, Honey, I Blew Up the Baby. So Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. Number 5, Mr. Miyagi was Daniel LaRusso's teacher. The actor that played him is Pat Morita. So Pat Morita played Mr. Miyagi in The Karate Kid. 1 point for each. Number 6, I asked you to name the actress who plays Heroine Sarah in Jim Henson's Labyrinth. It was the beautiful Jennifer Connelly, who was in one of my favorite films from the 80s, Once Upon a Time in America. She's in the new Top Gun film. My pronunciations tonight. I'm blaming one thing. Always blame the alcohol. Never the person. Okay, where are we? Number 7, name the artist who performed the title track for the Never Ending Story film. It was Lamal for that one. Number 7. Number 8, the American screenwriter who wrote the novel and screenplay for The Princess Bride. It was William Goldman. So William Goldman was the writer. Number 9 was 2 answers. I asked you to name the years that The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi were released in the UK. The year was 1980 for The Empire Strikes Back and 1983 for The Return of the Jedi. So 1980 and 1983. And lastly, the 1988 popular film was Big with Tom Hanks from 1988. Nice, simpler one to end off. The last question, number 10. Round number 2 was Big, Tom Hanks. So yeah, jot up your scores. How did you fare with your children's films? Remember in the 1980s, those great kids films, family films. Jack M first with 6 out of 12. So half of them right. Emma Richards, a really good score, 10. Shan, a good score of 8. Suzanne, 8 again. Philip, a good score of 9. And top marks, really good for James Vaughan, 12 out of 12. Optimus Prime, 6. Some good scores overall there. Lucy with a 6. Bikey Chick doing well with a 9. This was the tricky round. Somebody came on and gave me a bit of a slap in the face with this one, saying, toys? Why are you asking questions on toys? So it's film-related toys. Okay, so the toy manufacturer who produced the He-Man toys, famous company in America, they're called Mattel. Done loads of famous toy lines. It was Mattel that brought out the figure first, and then the cartoon series and films followed the film. It's Mattel. Number 2, I named some characters, Murphy, Lewis, and the Old Man. It was RoboCop. It's really strange that an ultra-violent sci-fi film would be made into a family TV series, and then an animation, an animated cartoon, and then a toy line. So it's RoboCop. They were quite good toys, in fairness. Beetlejuice was the character from a 1989 animated series. They brought out some figures in the late 80s and 90s to promote the animation, the serial, and obviously the Tim Burton film with Michael Keaton. So Beetlejuice. Got one of those figures upstairs of the bike. The ones that go for a lot of money, they're kind of like gold dust. Sticker trading cards by Topps. 1987 film. The Garbage Pail Kids. Those kind of funny creatures. They pick their noses. Weird it is. But the cards go for a fortune. The Garbage Pail Kids, produced by Tops. So the characters Lion-O, Snarf, Jitara, and Panthera. It was Thundercats. Really good animation from the 80s, the late 80s, the later half of the decade. And the toys were good. I remember you used to press a little thing on the back, and their arms would move. They'd have weapons. It was good. They were good toys. Again, they go for a lot of money. They're kind of like gold dust again, especially if they're boxed. Last Action Hero was the film, 1993. It flopped to the box office. But unusually, even though it's a 15 film, or was it a 12? It might be in a 12. They produced a toy range. Last Action Hero. The American toy company that produced toys for the films Alien, Police Academy, Star Wars, and Real Ghostbusters, and Jurassic Park. They produce they're on the box. It's a good toy company called Kenner. Kenner produced those toys. The toy teddy, I remember getting him in the 80s. He must have cost my folks an arm and a leg at the time. To me, it was almost like magical seeing him talk. It was Teddy Ruxpin. You look at him now and think, how on earth as a kid could I be, absolutely blown away by this toy teddy when you see what the kids have today. It was magical. Teddy Ruxpin. The Care Bears were the toy bears. They had a TV series and animation, toys, and 2 feature films. It was the Care Bears. Again, really popular. And She-Ra was the female toy line and spin-off to He-Man. He-Man for the boys, She-Ra for the girls. That was number 10. How did everyone get on with the toys? I personally quite like that round because it was, for me, a little bit nostalgic. What did you think? Not so keen, maybe? 7 for Jack, good score. 4 for Susan. Shan did really well. Shan and Dave with an 8, good score. Emma, same. 10, Optimus Prime. Obviously, somebody into their toys. Transformers. I should have put a Transformers one in. Has some good scores. James, a good score, 10. Mr. Harlequin, 7. Mr. Harlequin with a 7. Lucy Hawkins, a 6, like the round. Yeah, a little bit different. A lot of toy collectors out there. I was chatting to a friend of mine and we were saying the figures boxed, it almost takes the novelty away from it. They need to kind of be ripped out of those boxes and played with. People just put them on their shelves boxed. It's amazing. Number 4, round 4, was John Cusack. And the British author, number 1, who wrote the book for High Fidelity, it was Nick Hornby. Did Fever Pitch as well. Good author, British author, Nick Hornby. Minnie Driver was the actress in the brilliant film Grosse Pointe Blank. You don't see much of her now. Good actress. She plays Cusack's love interest. I think they were in a relationship as well. Minnie Driver. The 2003 crime drama with Gene Hackman and Dustin Hoffman, Rachel Weisz and Cusack. The film was Runaway Jury, which I've never seen. Number 4, I mentioned him earlier on. He was a recommendation. It was John Sayles, the director, who directed the baseball film 8 Men Out with John Cusack in the leading role. The 2003 film, which I gave a synopsis for, was Identity. So Identity was the film he co-starred alongside with Ray Liotta and director James Mangold. The director who made the comedy Bullets Over Broadway with Cusack in the role as a playwright was Woody Allen. So Woody Allen. Number 7, 2 answers to this one. I asked you to name the actresses who appear in the crime drama The Grifters, about a con man torn between his mother and his new girlfriend. Actress number 1 was Angelica Houston. And the second actress was Mrs. Warren Beatty. It was Annette Bening. Two fine actresses, Angelica Houston and Annette Bening. Number 8, and imagine you all got this one. It's Con Air, the action movie. The characters I mentioned were Vince Larkin, the agent, played by Cusack. Cameron Poe, I think's Nicolas Cage. And Cyrus the Virus, John Malkovich. Con Air. Charlie Kaufman is the offbeat writer and director who wrote Spike Jonze's Being John Malkovich. I've not seen the new film. I'm thinking of ending things on Netflix. Maybe watch that one next week. Charlie Kaufman. And lastly, this is a film I haven't seen for donkey's years. I quite enjoyed it when I saw it in my late teens. John Cusack is looking for the sure thing, aren't we all? From a 1985 Rob Reiner film of the same name. It's The Sure Thing. Yeah, not Melanie Griffiths. It's a good film, The Grifters. Again, it's a film I haven't seen in a long while. Good film. Based on a good pulp novel. Can't remember the writer's name. Tally up your scores. Are you John Cusack films? I think somebody accused him of being a bit of a miserable bugger. I said it's always hard to be miserable when you got $1 million in your bank account. Yeah, I do like John Cusack. A few of his films are like High Fidelity, Grosse Point Blank. Sure Thing is good. Kind of like his persona. He's done a lot of kind of gone the Nick Cage route with doing straight to kind of DVD, Blu-ray releases, which is a shame. James Vaughan, 10. Good score. Mr. Baseheart, again, equal that 10. Bloody Runaway Jewelry. Yeah, broke my streak. I've not seen that one. Biker Chick, a good score, an 8. Jack M, a 6 out of 11 is good. Lucy Hawkins, a tricky 5. Gail Rogers, a 10, good score. And Mr. Harlequin does the same, a 10 as well. John Cusack. And we move on to the last round. Family Connections. This was kind of a tricky round. So the actress in Godfather 3, and she directed the films The Bling Ring, Lost in Translation, Marie Antoinette, and The Beguiled. I expect you all got this one. Sofia Coppola, talented director, female director. Yeah, Runaway Jewelry, I'll give that a go. Good cast. Hoffman, Rachel Weisz is good. The great Gene Hackman. Tricky one. So the Warner brothers, Jack Warner, the most famous, Sam Warner, Albert Warner, and Harry. So Harry, Albert, Sam, and Jack. A point for each. So 4 points on offer. 5 points on offer for the next question. Name all the Marx brothers. It was Chico, Harpo, Groucho, Gummo, and Zeppo. So the 5 Marx brothers were Chico, Harpo, Groucho, Gummo, and Zeppo. One of my favorite actresses next, number 4. Certainly a female crush, but a talented actress, Jane Fonda. Was Henry Fonda's daughter. I think they had issues, father and daughter relationship. So many good films. Clue, On Golden Pond, Coming Home. Won the Academy Award. Very political kind of activist. Very anti the Vietnam War. Jane Fonda. Successful in the 80s for her exercise videos and cassette tapes. Still looking good. I presume she's got to be nearly 80 now, maybe, or in her 80s. Okay, Liza Minnelli's famous mother, an actress, and a famous director. Who were they? It was the icon Judy Garland. We had that film recently, Judy, with what's the actress's name? And the director was Vincent Minnelli. Tricky one. So Judy Garland and Vincent Minnelli. It's the woman who played oh God, the name escapes me. It's terrible what Jing can do to you. Won the Oscar. Bridget Jones woman. Good actress. Oh, alcohol, what it can do to your brain. Number 6, Douglas Fairbanks married which actress in 1920? They co-founded United Artists in 1919. Tricky one is Mary Pickford. Yeah, Renée Zellweger. Yeah, thanks for reminding me. A memory loss there. A vital moment. Thanks for your help. Okay, next one. Ingrid Bergman was married to Roberto Rossellini, the Italian director. Starred in so many famous films, Casablanca and Notorious just being 2 of them. Number 8. Name all the American Baldwin brothers, the actors. Alec Baldwin, Daniel Baldwin, William Baldwin, and Stephen Baldwin. So it's Alec, who I hear can be temperamental and a very difficult actor to work with. Daniel, who I don't know much about. William, who was a bit of a heartthrob, did Sliver and Backdraft. And Stephen Baldwin, who I remember being in a good comedy film called Airheads. Don't know if you remember that one. Yeah, bonus points. And the actress who married Paul Newman, Oscar-winning actress, they married in 1958. It was Joanna Woodward. So Joanna Woodward, the answer to number 9. And finally, Emilio Estevez. Emilio Estevez, member of the Brat Pack in the 80s, and Charlie Sheen's elder brother. Appeared in lots of films in the 80s as Peak, John Hughes' The Breakfast Club, St. Elmo's Fire, Repo Man film with someone I mentioned. How many did you get on your family connections? Did you know your Hollywood relations? How did you fare? A couple of tricky older questions. The Mary Pickford one was tough. The Marx Brothers, the Warner Brother connection was difficult. Jack M, good, 12. Emma, a good score of 13. Shanna, excellent score of 14. I know she likes a gin. Suggestions for rounds for future quizzes. We're going to be back every week. Down. I just wanted to ask you your suggestions for future rounds. Gremlins in the system. What's going on? Could be the gin. Thank heavens for that. I was going to move. Okay, so yeah, any suggestions? We're going to be back next week. Yeah, I was going to ask you suggestions for next week. Christmas round. Somebody mentioned some classic films for next week. So I did say it was a tricky one. I think we've maybe frozen again. Hold on, let's go nearer the router as we finish up. Take you on a guided tour. You might hear a bit of background TV. Wife's asleep on the sofa. Right, so any suggestions for next week's quiz? Let me know what your suggestions are. We've had classic films. We've had festive films. We'll be back next week, same time, same place, 8:30 on our YouTube channel. 90s films. Die Hard. So we'll be back next week. Thanks for taking part in this week's quiz. I hope you enjoyed it. Appreciate you tuning in and your support. And yeah, I hope to see you all next week. How did you all do overall with your scores? I did ask, and I think the screen froze at that point. Kevin Smith films, Marvel, we did do back a few months ago. Horror we did, but we can bring that one back. Yeah, how did everyone do with their scores this evening? What were the scores overall?
I've got a starter of smoky chili starter with crispy shallots.
66 from Mr. Harlequin. A good overall score.
And we've just got some big leaves of coriander.
What about everyone else? How did they fare? 59 for Bikey Chick. 60, a good score from Gail. 57 for Simon. Emma Richards, not so good, but enjoyed the quiz. Thank you. Jack did miss round 1, so 46. Tom Hanks, we did do that going back when we did the first lockdown quiz. But yeah, I'll take your suggestions on board. As I said, we'll be back next week, same kind of format, more recommendations, remakes, another good one. So yeah, I'll see you next week. Enjoy your weekends. Remember to stay safe. Thanks for your support. Thanks for tuning in. And see you next week for more fun, more film questions, and the answers revealed again at the end. Don't forget, with LA Cinema, I put the link at the beginning. Check out our Facebook page for the updates. And we'll also be announcing what the quiz rounds are each week. Take care. Thanks a lot. And I'll see you next week. Enjoy your weekends. Good night and stay safe.